Hello, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk About Fixed Star. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Rod. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. Once a month, me and Christian will present one fixed star, and we will choose like something. Not every time we choose like a super big star's name because that's boring because people know all about them. And we also try to turn to like a discussion between a different way to make an interpretation. And usually Christian will bring us a very rich research in the mythology, and I will try to sneak in some other way to read it, include the traditional way, include the Eastern or other culture. And today we have a very interesting. To be honest, I'm kind of quite curious about these big stars because not many people talk about it. But once you know it, you will never forget it.
Can't miss it in the sky.
Yeah, yeah. So, Christian, what big star are we talking about today?
We are talking about Procyon and the lesser dog.
Procyon, and you call it less dog. It's
Less.
me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, my English. Okay, less
Ah,
dog.
less dog. No. What is just interesting because I know that meaning is a smaller one, but every time when I hear about the least something like least what?
So
No,
I
no.
just say it's a small dog.
Yeah, and that would be that would be I would not misunderstood, but least dog. What is that dog? Sorry, that is also because this is not my mother tongue. So we'll try very hard to speak English. And if the
Yes,
audience say, these two guys have a funny accent. Yes, we both have a funny accent.
for sure.
And just cope with it. I'm so terrible when I say that.
We do our best.
Yeah, we do our best. We couldn't sound like British or American, but that's our background, and that's why this program is so interesting because we have different views too. Okay, yeah. So today we're going to talk about person and small dogs. So in compare with the small dog, because there's a lot of dog to be honest. There's a lot of dog in the sky, but at least we know there's another big dog, Canis Majors, which the main star is the series we talked about last month.
Yes.
So today we go to the least dog, small dog in the sky, and so you will know after like my presentation or Christian's presentation, you will notice why there is a least dog and a big dog. There's why there is a two dog in the sky and why there's so many dogs in the sky. Okay, so let me start with my presentation then. Here we are. Well, as people start to notice my artistic ability is suddenly increased since the Pluto moved into Aquarius. So Pluto gave me a lot of power. No, that's AI generated picture, and I don't have an artist ability to be honest. So when AI can draw the picture, I start to practice it, and I feel quite interesting. So usually I couldn't paint a lot of things, but now I can paint some ridiculous, magic, realistic picture. Look, the dog is flying in the sky. And then sometimes I need to do a little bit of brush on the Photoshop because, for example, I ask them to do the arrow and the bow and arrow. Then they give me the arrow right close to Orion. I say, holy God. So I have to brush it and to remove it away. Okay, that's the AI joke. All right. So Procyon is located at the Canis Minor and is Alpha star. Alpha Canis Minor. So it's a bright star. Yes, it is a bright star in the Canis Minor. And so its a magnitude is a plus 0.38. Okay, let me remind you, if you follow us long enough, you already heard about me talk about it 1,000 times. The magnitude of the star is when the number the number is smaller, the star is brighter. So if we say magnitude 4, that's a little bit dim. If we say magnitude 6, that is very dim. You can see it only in countryside. When you say magnitude 7, well, we cannot see it with our naked eye. We need to use telescope. All right. So when magnitude plus 0.38, well, this is a bright star. This is a bright star as a bright. It could be as bright as the I think Spica, or it's around this range 0. Okay, well, astrologer love the zodiac degree, eclipse degree. So don't forget, even we call it fixed stars, but they move. So please don't give me their position at year 1900 from Vivian Robson's book. Okay, so here is their location today. In year 2020, Procyon is at 26 degrees Cancer 06 minutes. That's today. Okay, and 40 years ago, 1980s is 25 degrees 33, and then in the 1960s it's 25 degrees Cancer 16 minutes. So, well, it's around this range. So if you're born between, like you say, how about me, year 2000? Well, I think it's probably around 26 degrees, you know? So that's how you notice. And then, so you will say, oh, I have a planet at 26 Cancer. So suppose your moon. So my moon conjunct Procyon. You can say that. I I can see Christian shaking his head. Christian, tell us how you usually say that in a technical term.
When we just deal with this projected ecliptical degree, we forget about the ecliptical latitude. We just deal with the ecliptic longitude. And actually, Canis Minor is far, far away from the ecliptic.
Yeah.
So there is no conjunction in the sense of the word that two celestial bodies are close together. They are in a line. And so Bernadette Brady and Diana Rosenberg said, better talk about both, as in your example, the moon and Procyon are aligned with each other, not saying they are in conjunction, because conjunction implies that they are close together, sitting next together, and they don't.
I agree. So later, I can show you the map. So that's for example, here it is. So this is the star map from the Stellarium. So here is Taurus, and we know then here is Gemini. So the zodiac go like this. You can see the Mars. They go this line, but this is the Orion. They are already south part of the sky, south of ecliptic. So also the Procyon and the Sirius, they are all in the south part of sky. So even the Mars walk around here. You will not say Mars conjunct Betelgeuse. You will not say Mars conjunct with Procyon because they are not there. So this is the technical term. But I still hear lots of astrologer just couldn't be bothered to make differences. Say conjunct. I couldn't say they are wrong. I just try to bring the awareness about they are not really conjunct. They are more like alignment, and maybe we should also find the differences. I mean, that's the hard work between the conjunct. What I mean is the interpretation, the differences between conjunct and alignment, rather than always say it is conjunct. And so I always like to show this picture. That's why I think Christian will also show similar things. The Orion, the great hunter, fighting the bull, or in some part of story is he chasing the rabbit, the hare. So then the two dogs following Orion. I like it. The one thing is like a white unicorn is right behind him. And there's never a story talking about the unicorn right behind him. That is quite interesting. That is quite interesting. Well, so I use the AI generated picture to generate the form of the Procyon. So this is the Procyon, and this is the other star in the Canis Minor. It's a very tiny, and if you look at the sky, you can really see the two star, and you look even further, then not further. If you look a little bit harder, yes, you can see the other two in the sky. You can see the other two, but which is true. Usually, like people will notice the Orion, and they will say, "Is that Sirius?" And no, that's not Sirius. They rise before the Sirius, and it's quite close to the Gemini and the Cancer constellation. So this is my another AI generated picture. Here we are. So let's see a little bit more about the late 19th century, early 20th century interpretation of Procyon. They are not ancient time. They probably collect a few things from the ancient time. So Vivian Robson say, according to Ptolemy, this is the nature of the Mercury and Mars. Okay. Well, I usually just ignore others. Well, Ptolemy said this, I'm happy, and I'm quite happy to continue to develop the story from Mercury and Mars. Okay, so for example, it's like you aspect how you interpret the Mercury and Mars when they are conjunct or opposition or whatever. So when these two planets put it together, you can say, well, you speak, maybe you talk Mercury, fast Mars, or you talk with a kind of emergency, or you talk for attack Mars, or you defend yourself. Well, then Robson said it gives activity, violence, certain violence, marvelous, certain performance by extraction, and also dangers of dog bite and hydrophobia. Interesting. I mean, this is second time we hear about dog bite, because we hear another one in series. Okay, so but also weak nature, interesting, proud, easily angry, easily angry. So quite interesting. That's a Robertson's view. Then in another side, everything feel a little bit more gentle, quite interesting. So Perseus is a very fortunate star. Well, if people only read Robson, will never notice that. Will never think, oh, it's a danger and violence. They're going to die by dog bite. But no, they say very fortunate star. Known as the Mesopotamian, the stars of crossing of the water dog. So that's the dog crossing the water. That's why I try to put a dog on the river. He's not Jesus, okay? And then also like it lies near the river of heaven, the Milky Way. Yes, because that part I will tell you later. That part is belong to what we call winter Milky Way. Okay, and so she repeats the person has Mars, Mercury in nature, and for those people hasty, jealousy, pickhead. Well, interesting, confess willpower, and I think this is quite interesting view. Here we are say rise and succeed and found with it, but fall from high position later. Wow. Then another ancient astrologer I really love. I really love his interpretation. Sometimes it's difficult to read, but I think he gave a very gentle and more big picture, because his interpretation would be what I will do the same, because interpreted from the mythology, okay, from the Greek mythology. So he said, look, this is not original text, because his original text, the translating by the by the scholar from the last century is a little bit too difficult to read and too difficult to digest for me. So I reinterpreted it, so put it here. So for those who born under the influence of the Procyon or Canis Minor, it gives not the hunt, but the weapon. So the Procyon give you the weapon, okay? To breed sharp smelling poppy, to tell the class by their pedigree, their quality by their place of original, to make net and the hunting spear with strong point and double shuffle with smooth knot. Okay, this is all about prepare the weapon he talking about. So what does that mean? I guess this is only my only guess, because the hunter used dog as the weapon too. Because dog is they use the dog to chasing their prey. So what they're talking about, these are the gift of Procyon, because they are very good with the hunting tool, with tool and prepare the tool. That's the few different interpretation from Robson, Epting, and Maninius. So here I'm going to hand it to Christian.
Share the presentation and let's start. So here we are. Yeah, and as you said, Rod, it's very bright. It's in the constellation of the small dog, and it's actually the 8th brightest star in the sky. And together with Sirius and Betelgeuse, Procyon also forms a winter triangle. And here you see it.
Yes, a little bit delayed, but I can see it.
Yes. And the name Procyon derived from ancient Greek and means he who precedes the dog, which refers to Procyon's rising just before the dog star Sirius on the northern hemisphere. In Greek mythology, the greater dog and the small dog are the companions of Orion. You already mentioned that, Rod. And I want to talk a little bit about the two different aspects of time. As you might know, time has two aspects. First of all, a quantitative, and secondly, a qualitative one. So Kronos is the god of quantity, the relentless running of time on the clock. And this guy is Kairos, and he represents the quality of time. And Kairos was initially a religious philosophical term for the right moment, the unused passing of which could be detrimental. And unlike Kronos, Kairos is not an ancient deity. According to the Greek philosopher Ion of Chios, he is the youngest son of Zeus, but it was only through a sculpture by Lysippos, the royal sculpture of Alexander the Great, that Kairos was given a late inclusion in the pantheon of the gods. So representations of Kairos show his resemblance to Hermes. You see his winged shoes like Hermes. You see wings. And this shows that he appears suddenly and can also leave suddenly. And Kairos, as you can see in this picture, had a bald hat on the back, and on his hat there is a curl on his forehead. And this curl on the forehead is to grab the proverbial opportunity or not grab the opportunity, because when the opportunity is over, you can't grab it by the bald back of the head. And there is a lovely, interesting story about Procyon from the Inuits. And the Inuits knew Procyon by this name. I brought it down because I cannot pronounce it.
Midnight, huh?
Thank God. So it means the one who never walks on the new ice of the sea. And this guy was an obese and lazy man, the myth had. Since he could not find a wife, he married his sister, and while the other man went hunting, he stayed at home as he was afraid of breaking into the ice. And this annoyed the other hunters because this guy contributed nothing to the community. And once the ice was thicker than ever, they persuaded him to go seal hunting with them. And when the camp was set up, he was told that on the first hunt, it was a tradition to sleep tied up. So he was tied up, and after he fell asleep, the man stabbed him with a harpoon, and he burst his bonds and ascended bleeding into the sky to become Procyon. This is the Inuit story. When Procyon rises in the Arctic winter, it glows red, and this color was associated with his bloody end. So when bright Procyon rises, as you can see in this animation from Stellarium, it rises first thought to be Sirius. And of course, Rod will talk about this later. I think this is only on the northern hemisphere. So on the northern hemisphere, Procyon, you can see it here, has the full attention, but as soon as the much brighter Sirius, we talked about this last month, it's the brightest star we can see in the sky. When the much brighter Sirius enters the stage, you realize your mistake, that it's not, that this is not Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, that's just Procyon. So let's wait when Sirius is rising. Here it is. So, symbolically speaking, not Sirius, Procyon is like firework. Like firework, it's wonderful to observe. Like firework, everyone watches, but it fizzles out after a short time. And therefore, Procyon is a catalyst for change and transition and transformation. It is in flow and loves variety and is an advocate of all forms of diversity. For Procyon, life is cyclical. What presents itself as an opportunity today may no longer be there tomorrow. That is why the star is closely connected to the concept of Kairos. So the perfect moment in space and time when something suddenly occurs. The chance that one sizes before it's over. And I think Procyon reminds us not to live too much in the past and in the future. If you wait for the grapes to get even sweeter, they will slip through your fingers. So Procyon is a chance or opportunity that should be seized directly and quickly when it arises, and then let go and start something new. So Procyon's shadow side is the danger of getting stuck in old memories and past moments. Hold on to the past and don't let it go. And this is called retromania or nostalgia, or simply escapism. So Procyon illustrates the preciousness of the fleeting moment, which one should make use of. And we all know this word from the famous movie, Carpe Diem. I think that's a good summary for Procyon. Okay, that was me. And now, as always, I'm so curious what Rod has to say about the eastern sky and the Maori.
Before we jump to the eastern sky, because I wanted to make a closure of our western sky, so I just decided to going to surprise Christian. I want to talk about the case we're talking about, and then I'll move to other cultures. How about that? And then we can also back to exam. So, well, today I prepared this exam, and even before we just like kind of discuss, does that mean something? Well, interestingly, when we prepare this video, Prof. Francis would certainly appear on the media's news quite a lot for two reasons. The first reason was he falling ill, he get a little bit of infection or something, was hospitalized. And well, people start the whole around the world of the Christianology, Christian believes people just start to pray for him. But another thing is maybe only me noticed that, and also some media noticed that is on the AI community, those people like me who generated AI picture because they heard about Pope feel unwell. So they start to look after him by, well, added a lot of layer of coat, the snow coat, the mountain coat on him. And then some even become the fashion designer. So under the media, I think some media just put, this is so wrong about the AI. Look at how many fake photos it can generate. Pope is unwell, but they make him like a fashion show about different jackets. Well, so I say interestingly, and I realize he does has a relation to Procyon. When he was born, don't forget that he was born in South Hemisphere. When he was born, Procyon was rising, and that drew my attention. They in his sky map, it's not a chart, and it's not even not related to his ascendant degree, descendant degree. No, no, no. It's according where he was born, Buenos Aires in Argentina, and then the sky, that night when he was born, there are two stars on the horizon. On the eastern horizon, we say rising, it was the Procyon. But the very interesting, on the western horizon, is another fixed stars we already talked about. It's a Sualocene. And I know Christian love these fixed stars. So, Christian, would you I know we discussed before. So how you think about these two stars on his on the angle when he was born? Let me show the people the map while Christian talk a bit.
Yeah, the Sualocene part is easy to grab. I think Sualocene is a playful side and not taking things too seriously. And I think we all can see that in him, that he's not that strict and serious Pope as the ones before him. Yeah, and maybe with this Procyon thing right on his horizon, Procyon, we have when a fixed star is right on the horizon, it shapes the lifestyle. So this star is part of your DNA, so to speak. You sleep with this star, you have breakfast with this star. So it's with you all the time. And Sualocene we talked about, I mean Procyon. Procyon is this grab this moment where you can change something, be a person of diversity, and bring change and transition into this what is it called, Vatican, is this right?
Yep.
Call it Vatican, yeah. Of course, we could criticize quite a lot about what he did and what he not did regarding reformation and transitions and reforms in the Vatican. But he did quite a lot, I think. Not that I'm satisfied with it and would say, oh, fantastic, that's now wonderful. But regarding the things he could do with all these structure there and these old rules they have in the Vatican, I think he tried the best he can.
It's pretty interesting. So here I'm showing the map that this is the Sualocene, the Dolphinus is rising, is a setting on the horizon, on the western horizon. And then now here we are, we're going to see here is the Procyon Canis Minor is rising from the eastern sky. And have you noticed Christian talking about the winter triangle? So Canis Minor, the Procyon is on the horizon, and then on the left side you get a Betelgeuse, and on the right side you get a Sirius. That's
There
interesting
it
because
is.
don't forget we are looking at the southern hemisphere. And if we use well, for people like me and Christian, we were born and raised in the North Hemisphere when we all used to see the shape of star, the shape of constellation from the North Hemisphere. We will get a little bit confused. Like the first time, really, very first time I was in Australia and I look Orion. They say Orion is so weird here. What's wrong with him? And I realized it's upside down, like that. Yeah, really like that. I said, it look okay, but there's something wrong here. What's wrong? And then I suddenly, very quickly, I realized I'm in South Hemisphere, darling, and also in the South Hemisphere. Sirius rising before the Procyon. So, I mean, that would be a room we can discuss is we all talk about the one rising fast and the one rising first. Does that still a case apply in the South Hemisphere? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
And yep.
really interesting question, and I have a thought when you mentioned this about the zodiac signs, because the tropical zodiac is linked to the seasons, and
Ah,
so when we have on the northern hemisphere springtime,
yes.
beginning of spring, there's the beginning on the southern hemisphere, the beginning of the autumn. So
Yeah.
must be the tropical zodiac sign on the southern hemisphere. It has to be Libra.
That's
So
very interesting.
yeah,
Good.
yeah. When you strictly go with the definitions, that's tropical zodiac is defined by the beginning of the seasons.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I think it's very interesting because we do have a lot of friends from the South Hemisphere, and I think for them, they learn when they learn astrology. There's also always a big question they will ask
yes,
their tutor.
yes,
You
yes,
talk about this, but in the South Hemisphere, it's not like this. So
yes,
yeah, and then that open a debate, or I say I don't want to say debate. I say a new research area because it would be very interesting to do the observation and the study, and because the ancient time people only focused on the North Hemisphere. Now is the opportunity. I will be so happy. Maybe I should move to South Hemisphere and to start this because I like this. I like creative. I don't. I like to listen and read what other people say, especially ancient astrologer. But I will not limit myself there. I like to create. I like to write something, and that's why I just like. I will sometimes I will question. It's not to criticize, but I just like, is that all? Is there any other possibility? That's my my the sentence I love ask myself when every time I study, every time I read the client's chart, is there any other possibility? And then
yes.
my students hate this sentence because I will keep bombarding with this sentence. So this was the Pope Francis chart. And then do you think he is a Procyon? I think there is, in the traditional views, Mercury Mars size, and he says he has a quite different view and a quite sharp view. But there's not a criticize, but I think he is not only his own. Don't forget, behind him, there's a whole huge machine,
Yes.
huge empire of Roman Catholic that even he want to change, but he couldn't do it in one go. I think
Yes.
yes, if he go a little bit further and he try a little bit harder, he will really be fit into Procyon's meaning, the one falling very quickly.
Yeah, and when I remember correctly, he's like a rising star, or is it a setting star? One of the two is at
Uh-huh.
Taurus. So we have this thing of making new transitions again,
Ah.
moving from an old paradigm to a new one. So it's the same theme. I think it's a Halakha rising, or no, it's a
Yeah,
Halakha.
Halakha rising. I just checked. While you're
Yeah,
talking about, I just checked.
yeah,
Yes, his Halakha rising is Arcturus, and his Halakha setting is Aldebaran.
yes. So Aldebaran, we haven't talked about Aldebaran, haven't we?
I
Not
can't
much.
remember. We haven't probably.
Yeah.
We should arrange it.
And according to Bernadette Brady, Aldebaran is about integrity.
Mm,
So don't compromise your way. Be a bold leader, Arcturus, who makes changes and gives a new paradigm, but
mm,
don't compromise your point of view while
mm.
you are.
Yeah, it's quite interesting to read a people's chart from the Halakha rising and Halakha setting.
Yes.
I think maybe soon we should organize some course about it because you cannot just do this with a 1 hour's talk. It's
No.
too short. I think we should probably do a workshop that would be so interesting, just focus on Halakha rising and Halakha setting. And yes, and I think that my view of Francis in the Procyon side, I would say there is a little bit I mean he raised a few questions. And then he showed the different view from the other people in this um um Roman Catholic. It shows a little bit like a Mercury Mars image. And this is my dedication to Pope Francis with Procyon. He hold a little dog. This is an AI generated picture. Okay. All right. So that's a move on. Well, this is the from the other culture that are first. Um, the Procyon's name in the Chinese astronomy and astrology called Nanhe San. Well, the third star of a southern river, and this is very interesting because it doesn't matter about what does that mean, but it gives you an idea. This is a river area. Let me put this on. This part of sky from Cassiopeia, Perseus, Taurus, Canis Majors, and Canis Minors, and down to the south hemisphere. This area is also the Milky Way, but the different Milky Way. Well, as I just mentioned, the summer Milky Way is a bright, reddish, very beautiful. That's from the Sagittarius, Centauri, Sagittarius, Scorpio, and going up to the Lyra and the um Corpus, all these kind of they're very bright. But when it cross the thickness, then that become the Cassiopeia, Taurus, and that become dim, but like a bright silk. And there's one time when I went to up to the mountain. I can say, what can you see the Milky Way? But it's already winter. And that was a very bright, not very bright, but a white and a beautiful stream. That's the winter Milky Way. Okay. So this part of the sky is the winter Milky Way. You see it in the winter, and the Chinese people call it the river area. So it's like the Milky Way. So if you know, the part of a Gemini in the Chinese Chinese astronomy, we call it a Northern River. So Gemini is Northern River, including Castro and Pollux. And then the Southern River is near the whole constellation of Canis Minor. So the small dog is the Southern River in Chinese culture. And all this area is a whale, is the river area. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, because Chinese astrology used to only service what the emperor care. So what do they care? They care about the river. Do they need to worry about the flood? Do they need to worry about the canal being blocked? Or do they need to worry about the ditch being too dirty, so cause problem? So all this kind of business is related to Procyon, the water business. But interesting because some people say, but I heard about you guys also have a guide dog in the Chinese astrology. Is that serious? I said, no. But no, I do hear guide dog. And then I went back to check. Yes. Interestingly, there is a sky dog, they call the seventh star of sky dog, but it's not in this region. It's just a little bit further south. I even don't know how could they do that, because in my knowledge, ancient Chinese astrologer used to ignore the southern hemisphere. They couldn't bother to name it. And here is the map of the southern sky and the sky dog. So here I point is writing in Mandarin, sky dog, and the people will question, where are they? Okay, this big star here is Canopus. And here, I mean, haven't drawn it yet, but here is the Sirius. So it's between Canopus and the Sirius. Well, in the Western constellation, it is in the veil, the big veil of the boat of the Argos, and also the plexus, the compass, So this part form the sky dog in Chinese mythology, and that interestingly well related to the dog bite, the dog problem, all these kind of things. Not very creative. So I decided to go more interesting. I really love South Pacific Star Law. I think we should start it because that's the another part of the world who care about the star, who use the star as a calendar, and even today, they still do it. Which astrologers don't want to live in that society? So Maori's name of Procyon, forgive me if I pronounce wrong. My Pacifician Aborigine blood, only 1% exists in my body. I'm very proud of it. Only 1%. So for my 1% cousin, please forgive me my pronunciation. Called Honalori, okay? And Maori's astronomer noticed that as the Pongalori is fourth Ponga. And the fourth Ponga, okay? The Ponga is Rigel, the big bright star in the Orion. And then so why fourth Ponga? Okay, that is because, like we usually say, people get confused. Who rises first? And when the Procyon of the Promenori rising, and the Rigel haven't risen yet. But the Rigel has an important role, okay? And the Promenor has an important role in the Maori calendar because it defines a new month. Then that's the problem. Because it rises maybe like two weeks before, then you make a mistake to that Rigel is rising. That's a work on it. And then you just like, you totally messed up with calendar. So they use, Christian.
Sorry for interrupting, but it's really interesting to see in the northern hemisphere we have the theme with false Sirius, and on the southern hemisphere we have the theme of false Rigel.
Yeah, maybe. I have to say, like, you probably will not do that. Then I will be very creatively or very bravely to put this force, the idea of misidentify, into the interpretation of this fixed star, because that's why we try to bring out a different story, because sometimes you can read a similar theme.
Yes.
And then I probably will go that one because that would be very interesting. Yeah. So yes, exactly. So there's a misidentify with a Rigel or misidentify with Sirius. So interesting. In Hawaii, they call it a Pona. Well, it's still the blossom. This is another meaning. Well, because the Pona is come from the Punagori. Okay, then the Pona is, and also in the whole Pacific island, they use those star Aurigas in Orion, in Cabela, Sirius, and Castro and Pollux include the Procyon to identify the direction of island. So basically, the only two stars I know for them to give north and the south would be the north for Macaliti, that's mean the Pleiades, and the south will be Canopus, and the other star, according to the island, they use this star to point if I want to go from Hawaii back to Tahiti, or if I want to go to Tahiti from Hawaii, the backbone forward. That's how they remember. They read the sky map. I think I really want to learn that too. That is so amazing. But another thing I want to talk about, this is not my specialty, but I couldn't avoid it. I really enjoyed it, especially, well, I just met quite a lot of Brazilian astrologer from Portugal conference too. So I think that would be interesting to show. I think my friends, they all know that, but I would like to introduce this because the Procyon also appear in the Brazilian flag, and it symbolizes the state of Amazonas. Okay, Amazonas. So that's the. A lot of people see that, but have you paid attention? I think Christian mentioned it in his every talk. In all his talk, Christian will show the Brazilian flag. It's not because he has things with Brazilian, just because there's a star there. And me too. I said, oh, beautiful. And then you see like, wow, that star is like quite interesting. When they don't do like this, I couldn't recognize. They are constellation and big stars there. So if you curious, you go to Wikipedia, they will tell you everything. And this is how I summarize it. So I just make my own version. Okay, this is the map. I mean, there's a long story behind, but what I heard about it, this is the map, sky map on the day of when Brazil was found, right?
Yes.
But there's another story about upside down. The projection method was different. That's it. But more important for us is, hey, where are they and what are they? So here we are. I give you the few indication. This band, I think is the celestial equator. So the only one star on the north hemisphere of a celestial north hemisphere is the Spica. So this is the only northern star in the Brazilian flag. This is a Spica. But the one just underneath, there are three stars. One is Procyon. Yes, Procyon, still very close to the celestial equator. And then there are two stars, is a Hydra, and then the big one, bright one, this one is Alpha. Remember when I painted my picture, I also put a Hydra in because they are quite close. They are pretty close. Okay, so this is a Hydra. And then, of course, we got the Canis Majors. Then the bright star is a Sirius here. Okay, this side. Then we have Canopus. It's very important, very bright star. Well, very interesting. They put the South Pole star, Sigma Canis. But indeed, I mean, there's no star close to the South Pole, South Hemisphere, but this is the closest one. So they put it on as a South Pole star. But then the people will never ignore the Southern Cross. It's beautiful. I love it, and they appear in the Brazilian flag. And then we have this one. This one is called the Triangulum Australis. Well, it's a southern triangle, and then you get Scorpio. And then they say bright one is Antares. I try to work out which one. They are so similar size for me. Maybe this one, I think. Okay, this is the Brazilian flag, and we have Brazil, we have a Sirius, we have Canopus, we have a Southern Pole, we have Spica, we have Alpha, we have Southern Poles, we have Scorpios and Antares. Interesting. I mean, how many stars are we talking about? I mean, we already talked about Antares. I think we talked about Southern Cross. Have we talked about Alpha? Yeah, we probably talked about Alpha. So I love this flag. So cool. And well, I apologize. I couldn't offer you the new photo as I was quite busy at this moment and tried to take more new photo. But this is, if you remember, a long time ago, I showed you the Milky Way arch. And I will point out, so this part are the summer Milky Way. But you can see from this part, It's not that red, it's not that bright. This part is what we call the winter Milky Way. And around here, then you will see, I think is about you were about to see the Cassiopeia and the Perseus, and then go down under. Well, this is today's let's talk about fixed star. I mean, it's super long. I think we a little bit over time, but me and Christian, we always enjoy the Toyota story. I think.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, folks. So thank you for watching. Let's talk about fixed star. And next month, I think we already decided we're going to talk about the one fixed star is. You remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay. Please tell us.
It's the nebula.
The Nebula. Yes, I still remember when you suggest the Nebula, I say, what Ola? And I probably speak too much Portuguese and the Spanish. What Ola? The Nebula. So it's like tail, the wing tail
Tail
of
of
the
Leo.
Leo, and I like it because I like it. It's so interesting. It's a very interesting fixed star. Please, when you talk about fixed star, each one of them have a special character, and each one of them is not just death or dog bite or lion bite or dragon bite. All right, they have a lot of meaning, and it's not just a big famous superstar you should focus on. A lot of stars have a very interesting meaning and they may be changing your life, to be honest. So, well, thanks for everyone and see you next month. Bye.
Bye.